I'd just like to bring up what we're up against. There, after the attempted arson on the hotel in Rooskey, there was, I suppose you call it a protest. I was calling it a sing-along with a bunch of, as far as I can tell, hired NGOs that turned up down at the bridge. And one of them, Mehmet Uladag, I think he's of Turkish extraction as far as I can gather. I have a quotation here from the Roscommon people that attended the sing-along. And I'll just quote from him here. He said, "Calling on Justice Minister Charlie Flanagan to address direct provision, Mr. Uladag said that our job is to open Ireland's borders." I don't think you can get it much clearer than that. This is the agenda that has been set aside for Ireland. Rooskey, he said, needed young people to come into it, and the village also needed new businesses. Now, the young people of Rooskey have had to immigrate because we've been told that the EU is good for employment. There is no employment in it. For the last 16 years since the factory burnt down and the hotel closed in 2011, the only thing the village has got is a playground that was half funded by locals. In 16 years, that's all that's been done for the area. And this particular person thinks that by importing people that don't speak the language into the village, you're talking about 80 people in a village of maybe 200, 300 perhaps in the outer areas, that these people will come in and start new businesses. All of a sudden we were told that there'd be language classes, there'd be arts and crafts, computer classes. All these things were coming in when these people were arriving. In the last 16 years, nothing was done for the local area. And all of a sudden, because people from, I'm sure that some of them are in distress, whatever, but it's been proven that, the vast majority of them are economic migrants. That's it, plain and simple. And there's an element out there in Ireland that are out to exploit it, that is sanctioned by the government, that are paying these people to bring these people in, put them up in hotels. On the Virgin One TV show one of the nights there, our local independent TD was on it, and one of the panellists said that if there were Irish people being put up in the hotel, would it have been burnt down? Now, plain and simple, there's 13,000 Irish on the streets. I think those people have more of a right to be in any hotel in the country than bringing anybody else in. It's common sense. You look after your own, and then you do your best for other people then. These people should be looked after in their own countries. It costs 12 times as much to look after these people in our own country than actually looking after them in their own country if they're in distress. Where's the UN? The UN is supposed to set up safe areas out in the Middle East where the UN are involved until these people can go back to their homes and rebuild. And by all accounts, the Syrian women are crying out for their own men to go back and rebuild. What they were doing out over here rather than fighting, I don't know. Because I know if it was in Ireland, I'd either be killing for a living or be in the ground. That's it. So, between the NGOs, the media, public opinion, I'd say, in a lot of ways, it's going to be an uphill struggle. But something has to be done. And if we don't stand up for ourselves, you can be sure Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin, Labour, are they going to? On the evidence I've seen so far, no. So believe me, it's no more than what Justin said. He doesn't want to be here. I don't want to, the situation seems so surreal where we are now. Like, I mean, from the childhood that I had in Rooskey to where, and over the last number of years to where we are now, as Justin mentioned, we've a chance to save the country, to make, to retain our sovereignty, or as Micheál Martin said, sovereignty is a backward-looking ideology. I think he was quoted as saying when he was lapdogging to his European masters when they were over. And I've heard it all. I've heard, the EU, jobs. We've seen no jobs down here. Nothing. Okay, from the farming point of view and that, it keeps people on the land and all the rest of it. But, I don't know. I don't see anything happening around the place. And I think trade is good. Trade is a good thing. But whatever it is with politicians, trade isn't enough. It has to be more, how would you put it? More integration, more laws, more taxes, more encroachments on your freedoms. That's what's happening here now. More encroachments on your freedoms all the time. And as the saying goes, if you trade freedom for your safety, you deserve neither. And that's where we are now. Okay? So you can trade on your freedoms and you can feel safe. You can go home at night and all the rest of it. Once you lock the door, you'll be grand. When you go out in the day, you're working for the government. You're a slave. That's it. So that's where we are now. And I don't know. I think there's definitely a tide changing in the country on social media and a lot of the independent media on YouTube and that. And I have to say, Stefan Molyneux's recent talk on 2040 and fellow Irishman born in Athlone, but I think that's woken a lot of people up to what's happening downstream. And he used official documentation, official quotations all the way down the line in that 2040 talk. And I advise anybody that hasn't seen it, now it's a bit of a long one, it's about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 40 minutes, but to sit down and watch it. And I'll tell you, you will be scared for the future of this country and the people of this country. And I think we need more, to get the message out there more, we need to get on YouTube, watch the videos, make videos, comment, because the mainstream media, they're not going to give you anything now. You have to, it's from the ground up it's going to happen here, if anything's going to happen, because the mainstream media, papers, websites, the TV and radio especially. I remember actually the first time I ever heard Justin on the radio, he was on News Talk with Mr. Moncrief a few years back. And Mr. Moncrief did his best to, malign you, as far as I could tell. But and all you did, you made perfect sense. That's all you did all the way down the line. He tried, as far as I can remember, to make you out to be xenophobic, to be all the phobics. And and all we really want to do at the end of the day is implement the laws that are on the statute books in this country and stop them being subverted. Like as this man here said, he wants to open the borders of the country. To my mind, that's subversion. Without borders, you don't have a country. That's subversion against the Irish state, what he's quoting there. And this is what we have in our midst. Yeah. And as the story goes, an army can survive against another army, but it will not survive against traitors in its midst.
That's right.
And that's where we are now. These people don't want to see the Irish occupying their own lands. This is our land, and we have a chance to save it now. Otherwise, the rug will be pulled from under us and we'll end up on the ground. That's where you are.